Thanks, Don. So Kaaren and I thought that we would just split up today a little bit. I'm going to talk obviously from ALEC's perspective on how we think we need to and are trying to communicate change. So we'll hear later from this afternoon from Kaaren, who's doing a project where he's actually specifically surveying the Australian public, which is independent than us. So we're coming at it from a perspective of what we want to do. So from ALEC's perspective, we think we need to look at rebuilding the social licence of the live export industry. And the way we want to do this is acknowledge issues and demonstrate improved outcomes. We also are very conscious of the political engagement that needs to be done to ensure that industry is heard, we gain credibility, and we start to earn the public trust. We're going to do this predominantly over active social media engagement with journalists and obviously telling stories, on the live export industry, and also on broader agricultural issues, which is very important because we are all the same, as Simon mentioned. I haven't talked about that. Green? Sorry, tech. No. Have you changed the... Sorry, I should have done this before we got upstairs. Beautiful. Thanks, Kaaren. Okay, so at the moment, what we wanted to talk about, I thought we should talk about is what we're doing moving forward. So we're spending a fair bit of time looking at data in terms of website hits, so we can work out how the public's coming to find out about what ALEC does. So from current research, we can find out that 82% of our website hits are organic. So that means literally people are just typing in ALEC. And that could come from multiple things. They've seen something, someone's spoken to them, or they've heard something. So we're in a position where we want to start developing infographics so that we can really effectively and quickly communicate issues that we want to, whether we're talking about cattle or sheep or goats or, I guess, submissions, political engagement, or sort of alignment. We also want to look at doing a series of suggested campaigns where we talk about cultural awareness, the importance of the trade to the economy, farmers' livelihood, and the red meat industry as a whole. Also, as we said before, aligning with the industry reset that we're looking at doing. Our website editions, we want to do some updated Q&A, redo imaging across the website, look more at gender and cultural diversity, look at rebranding our logo slightly into a more corporate and neutral brand, and then also talking about our board and our constitution, which is a lot of what we get asked behind the scenes on socials. All right, so communicating change on socials, why do we think it's important? So according to the Australian Bureau of Statistics, Australia, we have approximately 25 million Australians, and it shows that 15 million people are active on Facebook. So therefore, approximately 60 people of the total Australian population is an active user, and this is a huge number. We can see the demographic breakup and the age breakups. So 6 in 10 Australians use Facebook, with 1 in 2 Australians using Facebook on a daily basis. So for us, it's a no-brainer. It's a strong medium to start communicating change to the general public. And it's also a free medium that we can use, which is time. So we're seeing progress in that, which is fantastic. And our growing followers have gone to just under 6,000 as of this week. So I thought it might be interesting for you to see the breakup of who's actually following our Facebook page based on the largest influencer. It's predominantly male, between the ages of 25 to 34. Which is actually unusual because normally it's a female-dominated socials, so it's interesting. It might have something to do with previous demographics, which is now changing, obviously, with much more females involved in the industry. We then find that what's really interesting is when we actually do posts, the engagement changes and our demographic moves up into an older, 35 to 44. So that says to us that we think we're reaching more of the general public, that there's more older people who are actually interested as opposed to the younger people who are following us. So I see that as a really positive. Okay, so the next thing that we're doing is we're moving to a different social media monitoring platform. It's called Meltwater. And what Meltwater does is it provides us with a much more intense level of data to dictate the public interest. So I thought, for example, it might be interesting just to put up 2 articles from earlier in the month. So the Stock Journal, which was the success of the first trade after the resumption, reached 7,000 people through socials. Now, when we investigate further into the background, we can see who and what social media platforms they were on. And we can also see the public sentiment that's involved with that. The other one, which is really topical, which Minister Mackenzie mentioned yesterday, and so did Simon, is the independent observer shift, which is rewarding good performance, so that change in the review. So that reached 22,000 people. Okay, so then I talk about social listening, which I mentioned before, and what the importance is with social listening. Okay, so social listening is the monitoring of the brand's social media channels for feedback and direct mention. So we can look at discussions regarding specific keywords, topics, or incidents. It gives us analytics, which gains insights, and we can act on those opportunities. So what this means is this will help us understand the negative sentiments, the lack of understanding and messaging, so that we need to get the proper messages and the facts and the truth out to the public to change perception. So it enables us to see what people don't understand or the misconceptions. So what I thought I would do then is actually give an example of how this works. Speaking before about the Independent Observer Review and policy change, the ABC released an article on the 22nd of October. Now that got 88 retweets and interactions and 1,900 engagements over Facebook. Now it's shares, reactions and emotions. And then the reach was 13.3 million in total, which is huge. The top social media channel for that was Twitter. So we find that it's the most active engagement. You'll see from the conference today just how many people do get involved. So that's really interesting, and it's something that we all are encouraging everyone to get behind and to share and to be involved in, because the more people that are on that channel with the more facts and science-based responses, it's just a stronger voice. It's not just ALEC or LiveCorp talking, it's actually everyone in the supply chain, and then the public becomes involved as well. So we're finding that's growing, and that's actually, the sentiment is in general turning towards a more public, but there is obviously still a lot of negative sentiment. So that IO Independent Observers, the conversation, which went for a month in October, you can see the peaks. And those peaks come up from a different article or someone saying something, whether that be public or negative. So that's really interesting for us to watch. So we can see the ABC report generated a really high peak. So that was really great. And it also means there's an incredible amount of articles and sharing, which goes on the month. So what it tells us is media is so important to what we're doing, because people read what the media are writing, and then that's what they're sharing, and then that's what they're taking as truth. So by us engaging more actively with the media, we can get more stories out there to actually show a different perspective and to show more facts and truth about the industry. So from this particular Independent Observer article, our social media mentions went up 139%. As we talked about the public sentiment, we are still seeing that the sentiment is still predominantly negative in terms of the messaging. However, what we want to do is focus on the neutral sentiment, because we feel that they're the people that are actually interested in understanding the trade and interested in hearing what we have to say. So this is a good thing. So I guess as a KPI for us, we want to see the negative to become much less, the neutral to become positive, and to basically start using this as just getting out some more information on the success of the voyages, the animal welfare initiatives, the whole of supply chain, the benefits to regional Australia, food security, and the economic growth for Australia. Simon mentioned before the Red Meat 2030 and the need for us all to have a united voice. So for ALEC, we do want to align with the broader industries, and we do want to set with the priorities that have been put forward us with that Red Meat Nation and the Red Meat 2030 objectives. So that's working all together, talking with the same voice, having the same messages, and basically the goal is to align and to continue the industry telling and sharing the public the facts and data and the transparency of the industry. So we would like to hear from you, because obviously everyone has a different perspective and you're all hearing different things that we, in terms of ALEC, may not be hearing. So we would really like to encourage you to contact us, to talk to us, to tell us what you think. If you think we're doing something that you don't agree with, or you think we're doing something you do agree with, it would just be really, really great to get your feedback. So we do encourage you to please contact us. We are in the exhibition stand today until lunchtime, and obviously here for the rest of the conference. So I just wanted to say thank you very much for all the support we have seen on social media and for your support here. The industry is a great industry, and there's a lot for us to be proud of. So I will now hand over to Kaaren. Thank you for listening, and I look forward to meeting you in person.
Good morning. My position at LiveCorp was created last year because the organisation recognised the need for better communication. There was great work that was being done by LiveCorp, by the LEP and by the industry in general, but at that point there weren't a lot of people that were doing much talking about it. The words social licence get bandied around a fair bit when it comes to livestock exports, and just about everybody means something different. For LiveCorp, our definition, more or less, or our best way to support the industry's social licence is by providing non-biased, factual information about regulation and research. But that can be pretty dry. So the challenge is to make that information interesting and digestible and reach not just exporters and the wider industry, but the wider community. What we've been doing this year is developing more materials that tell stories, because putting a human face on things makes them a lot more interesting than straight facts. We've been producing plain English, more readable publications, as well as talking to media and being more active on social media. To give a couple of our things a plug, we did an in-market insights booklet, which tells some of the work that exporters are doing on their supply chain. We've done our most recent research and development update on the cattle industry, which is available down at our trade stand, which talks about some of the research that we're doing and that the wider industry is doing. And it's a bit more magazine-y than it has been in the past. And one of the best examples of what we've been doing is our trial of dehumidification technology on a livestock export vessel. The final report is 100 pages of complicated technical language and graph after table after formula, pages of them. What we've done is summarise that into an 8-page booklet that just tells the average Joe who wants to know, does it work, the answer. It's something that's easy to read, also available down on our trade stand. And we didn't flinch from telling it like it is, because yes, it does work, but it doesn't work well enough right now for the industry to start using it. And LiveCorp's a great believer in transparency just generally, and that's not talking about how fabulous everything is, that is telling it how it is. And we're supporting a range of initiatives to encourage the industry to open up and share its stories. One of the first people that I actually was asked to talk to when I started at LiveCorp was Holly Ludeman. She'd had this great idea about a transparency project on showing more about what happens on a vessel taking sheep to the Middle East. She wanted to do some videos, and I was asked to give her a hand. That, of course, grew into the Sheep Collective, and as anyone here knows, that's now become, the Cattle Collective is launched as well, so that has broadened out across the industry. They're telling authentic stories of people in the whole supply chain. They're putting that human face on the industry and attracting an audience that doesn't normally engage with the livestock export industry. We're also running a transparency challenge, and hopefully you've seen some of the videos and we'll be playing them at morning tea. We're encouraging the industry to produce some videos and tell their story. Again, it's not a "aren't we fabulous" type video. What we wanted them to do was share a challenge that they'd been facing and talk about how they'd overcome that challenge. Those videos are being played, as I said, in the breaks. They're in the delegate bags. There's a voting slip. If you go down to the trade stand, you can hand in your voting slip and we'll have a delegate's choice for that competition. Another thing, when I started at LiveCorp, we were keeping a bit of an eye on what was happening in the Australian egg industry with a project that they were doing with CSIRO to provide them with an understanding of community attitudes. It's a great model. It goes a lot further than just, do you like an industry or do you not like an industry, in terms of surveys. And we've got a presentation this afternoon from CSIRO's spin-off Voconic, who's going to provide you with an update on how that project is going, that we have now contracted using that same model to find that out for the industry. The project's aimed at helping us to identify some of the common ground with mainstream Australia, some of the things that we actually have in common, but then also help us understand what people think we're doing wrong and where we're going wrong, so that then we can explain where it is that we're actually making moves to fix those things or make those changes, and then also find out what else it is that they want us to do and see if there are areas that we can address those concerns. But we don't have to wait for that research to make a difference. It's going to help us to fine-tune our understanding, but we already know that the Australian community wants animal welfare. They think that that's important, and we all think that is as well. The thing is that we need to tell them. So everyone in this room can play a part in making sure that they get the answers that they need, that yes, the industry does care. If you meet new people, whether that's a barbecue or the pub or anywhere, It can be tempting to fudge a little bit when they say, "What do you do?" instead of saying, "I work in livestock exports." And if people start talking about negative stories that they've seen in the media or any other reports, then sometimes it can be tempting to just let that slide by. What I would like to do is encourage you to not step away from it. Actually find out where they're coming from. What are their concerns? Really listen to them and be open to what they say. Don't try and educate them or give them facts, because the more you shout facts at people, the angrier they get. It does not work. It's counterproductive. And if they're not receptive, then that's fine. Walk away. Don't worry about it and don't take it personally. If you start talking from your values, if you're clear what those are and why you do what you do, and you start talking to them from that perspective, I think you'll find there's a lot more in common with some of the people that you think may be anti the industry than you think. From my experience, a lot of people, when I've told them that I work at LiveCorp, they're just really reassured to know that what is on television is not the normal of the industry, that things are changing, that research is being done, and that there are regulations that are keeping the industry in check. And they feel a lot better about it. They don't need to know all of the ins and outs. They just want to know that something's being done. For people who are interested in social media, that can be a bit of a scary place, because there are some people out there that doesn't matter what you say or how positive it is, they will turn it around and use it as an excuse to slam the industry. But if we don't get on there with them and talk about it from a different perspective, from our perspective, then that's all anyone is going to hear. So that's really important. LiveXchange is the perfect example. If you're into social media, share the fact that you've been here on your social media challenges. Share some of the interesting things that you've heard. Share the videos of all of the presentations, which are going up on our YouTube channel next week. Share the Transparency Challenge videos, which are on the LiveCorp website and will also be shared through various social media channels. People may be negative, whether that's in person or on social media. Just respect that they have a different opinion. Have a civil conversation with them if they're open to it, and get out if they start getting nasty. Particularly on social media, there are some people that can be abusive, and that's on both sides of the argument. We can't say that it's just them that are nasty. Don't engage in a tit-for-tat exchange of insults. The industry is under pressure, there's no denying that. It's all up to all of us to do the right thing, and also to play our part in convincing the community that the right thing is being done. Annie and I have started having regular teleconferences with the Cattle Collective and the Sheep Collective, so we've decided to get Kate up here, who is the project manager for the collectives, to just give you a short chat on what she is doing and what the collectives are doing to communicate change. So please welcome Kate.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for inviting me up here, Kaaren and Annie. I just wanted to reiterate much of what they've said is what we've been doing by working together, and probably to just tell you a story of recently I went to the Royal Show with the Sheep Collective. For 7 days we engaged with families from the city about live export, and it was very interesting to actually talk to people face to face about it. I was very encouraged to learn that most people are actually open to hearing a different side of the story. They were also encouraged that what they're seeing on TV and what they're seeing in the media is actually not what is the truth. So with that information, we're encouraged with the Cattle Collective to keep telling stories. I'm here today with a film crew, and we would like to encourage anyone who has a story to tell and would like their voice heard, which I would encourage everyone to do, because everyone needs to get on board and tell their story, to come forward. Don't be shy. If everyone's doing it, we're stronger together. So with finishing with that, we would like to throw to questions. If anyone would like to ask us anything, we're happy to answer. About social media, or how to tell your story, or how to engage with media. That's a good thing.
Hold that question. Sorry, it's Mark Phelps here from Queensland Country Life. Yesterday there were a bunch of protesters outside the convention centre here. I just wondered what was the agreed strategy with dealing with the group of people that were there?
Yep, go. Thanks for that question. So ALEC and LiveCorp have had regular telecommunications and catch-ups. So we were aware of the fact that there was going to be a protest out the front, which is completely fine. The police were very communicative with us as well. Mark Harvey-Sutton, ALEC CEO, and myself went out just after 8 o'clock yesterday morning to introduce ourselves to them and to offer contact details, and they had actually gone. So we're not sure what happened, but yeah, we were very much prepared to go and engage with them. So everybody has a right to what they believe in. We came across it as we just, all need to cohabitat, basically, and if they wanted to ask questions, Mark and I were very happy to talk to them. Any other questions? Okay, thanks everyone.